Chart Increasing Financial and Stock Exchange News Report, February 11, 2026. Disclaimer: this content is for informational purposes only. It is not legal, medical, financial, or official advice. Do not treat anecdotal stories, market movements, or commentary as guidance. Always consult a licensed professional before making financial decisions. Report Overview. 1. S&P 500 pulls back after multi-week rally. The S&P 500 slipped 0.6% as investors rotated out of megacap tech and into defensive sectors. Analysts cite valuation fatigue after a 14-day upward streak, the longest since 2021. Utilities and healthcare led gains, while semiconductors saw the sharpest declines. 2. Treasury yields spike on hot inflation revision. A revised CPI dataset showed core inflation running 0.2% hotter than previously reported. The 10-year Treasury yield jumped to 4.41%, pressuring rate-sensitive equities. Futures markets now price in one fewer rate cut for 2026. 3. Bitcoin ETF inflows hit $1.2 billion in 24 hours. Spot Bitcoin ETFs saw their largest single-day inflow since launch, led by BlackRock and Fidelity. BTC briefly touched $58,900 before retracing. Analysts attribute the surge to institutional rebalancing and sovereign wealth fund accumulation. 4. Disney surges on earnings beat. Disney stock climbs 7.4% after reporting stronger than expected streaming revenue and theme park attendance. The company announced a $3 billion share buyback and a new dividend increase. Analysts upgraded the stock, citing multi-segment momentum. 5. Tesla faces SEC inquiry over autopilot disclosures. The SEC opened a formal investigation into whether Tesla misrepresented autopilot safety data in investor communications. Shares fell 3.1% on the news. Tesla has not issued a public statement beyond confirming cooperation. 6. Viral financial product of the day, Fidelity Youth Debit Card. The Fidelity Youth Card trended on TikTok after a viral budgeting challenge. New sign UPS surged 240% week over week. Resale angle: limited edition card designs from 2022 are selling for $40 to $60 on collector marketplaces. 7. High value resale item: 2020 American Gold Eagle coins. Secondary market premiums jumped from 6% to 18% due to supply shortages. A sealed 20-coin tube now sells for $48,000 plus, up from $41,000 in December. Dealers report record low retail inventory. Financial and Stock Exchange News Daily, February 11, 2026. Global Markets and Crypto Update, Finance News spoken by AI. Market Overview: stocks pull back as yields spike. Wall Street retreats from highs. U.S. stock markets gave up early gains on Wednesday as investors reacted to robust economic data and rising bond yields. The S&P 500 initially climbed toward a record intraday level but pulled back in a volatile session. The benchmark index ultimately erased its gains and closed roughly flat, down about 0.06% at 6,937 points. The Dow Jones Industrial Average also reversed course, dipping 0.3%, almost equals 145 points, to around 50,043, while the tech-heavy Nasdaq ended essentially unchanged after earlier swings. Investors saw the early rally fade as they balanced encouraging economic signals with concerns about interest rates, resulting in notable market volatility. 2026. Barcart.com, Barcart.com. Strong jobs report: the catalyst for the market's volatility was a surprisingly strong January employment report. The U.S. added 130,000 jobs last month, far exceeding forecasts of 55 to 75K, and the unemployment rate ticked down to 4.3%. Initially, this financial news bolstered optimism about the economy's resilience. Stocks in economically sensitive sectors like energy and basic materials leapt on hopes of sustained growth. However, the robust labor data simultaneously raised fears that the Federal Reserve may delay potential interest rate cuts. Traders pushed out expectations for Fed easing, as the healthy jobs market suggested less need for immediate stimulus. Notably, the Labor Department's report also included revisions showing far fewer jobs were added in 2025 than previously reported, just 181,000 versus an earlier estimate of 584,000. While these revisions indicate the labor market wasn't as strong last year as believed, experts noted the downward adjustments were better than expected, suggesting a mild economic cooling rather than a sharp downturn. Barcart.com, Barcart.com. Treasury yield spike. The bond market moves were swift in response to the data. The 10-year U.S. Treasury yield jumped initially, reflecting a Treasury yield spike as investors anticipated a more hawkish Fed stance. Yields held near their highest levels in months, hovering around 4.17% on Wednesday. This is close to the peak reached after the recent nomination of noted inflation hawk Kevin Warsh to head the Fed, an event that briefly pushed the 10-year yield up to 4.29% earlier in February. The latest yield increase, about 1 basis point on the day, reinforced the notion that rates may remain elevated longer in 2026. Higher bond yields can pressure equities by making borrowing more expensive and lifting returns on safer assets, which contributed to the stock pullback. Meanwhile, the 2-year Treasury yield, more sensitive to Fed policy, rose to roughly 3.51%, up from 3.45%, as traders recalibrated their interest rate outlook. Barcart.com, Royce.ai. Global markets mostly up. Major global markets outside the US were more upbeat. European stocks advanced broadly. For example, London's FTSE 100 gained about 1%, supported by optimism about the Eurozone economy and cooling inflation. In Asia, indices also closed higher. South Korea's Kospi rose 1%, and other regional markets followed suit on optimism that China's economic activity is stabilizing. However, U.S. investors remain focused on upcoming macroeconomic reports. Later this week, the government will release a fresh consumer price index report, which could show an inflation trend or inflation revision from prior data. These figures will be scrutinized for clues on the Fed's next steps, as persistent inflation above the 2% target would bolster the case for keeping interest rates elevated. Barcart.com. Key market indicators. Below is a snapshot of major market indexes and asset prices as of February 11, 2026, including their daily and week-to-date changes. Market index/asset. Current value. Daily change. Weekly change, versus last week. S&P 500. 6,937. Minus 0.06%. Plus 0.6%. Dow Jones Industrial Average. 50,050. Minus 0.3%. 0%. Nasdaq Composite. 23,050. Plus or minus 0.0%. Plus 0.2%. 10-year U.S. Treasury yield. 4.17%. Plus 0.011 BP. Minus 0.077 BPS. Bitcoin, BTC USD. $70,000. Plus 2.0%. Minus 4%. Gold, spot dollar/Oz. $5,080. Plus 0.2%. Plus 2.3%. Data sources, Reuters, AP, CNBC, coin exchanges, reflecting approximate market levels on February 11, 2026. Daily changes are from the prior trading session, weekly changes are measured relative to 1 week ago. Crypto market news, Bitcoin ETF inflows and volatility. Bitcoin ETF inflows hit record. In crypto market news, an encouraging sign emerged for Bitcoin amid what has been a turbulent start to 2026. Spot Bitcoin ETFs have seen a record inflow of institutional cash in recent sessions. After roughly 3 weeks of steady outflows, investors poured about $562 million into Bitcoin-focused exchange-traded funds on Monday alone, halting a prolonged bleeding streak in crypto funds. This wave of Bitcoin ETF inflows, the largest single-day influx so far this year, follows a smaller $371 million burst of inflows last Friday. The rapid turnaround suggests that big players are buying the dip after Bitcoin's recent correction. Analysts note that such ETF inflows often signal returning institutional demand, which could help establish a price floor for Bitcoin despite recent volatility. Cointribune.com, INVZZ.com, Finance.yahoo.com, THTradable.com. Bitcoin price rebound attempts. The price of Bitcoin itself has been volatile but is off recent lows. After plunging below $60,000 in a sharp January sell-off, Bitcoin rebounded and has been trading in a range of roughly $68,000 to $72,000 in recent days. As of today, BTC is hovering near $70,000, up a few percent from yesterday's levels. Still, on a weekly basis, Bitcoin remains down about 4 to 5%, reflecting lingering caution after its multi-month decline. Industry observers highlight that unlike earlier crypto downturns, the recent pullback lacks signs of systemic distress, no major exchange failures or debt liquidations, indicating the weakness may be driven more by shifting sentiment and macro factors than fundamental issues. INVZZ.com, Finance.yahoo.com, Finance.yahoo.com. Crypto market context. The resurgence of interest via ETFs is a positive indicator for the broader crypto market. It comes after U.S. regulators finally approved spot Bitcoin ETFs, including products by BlackRock and others, in late 2025, a watershed that opened the door for more traditional investors to gain Bitcoin exposure. These inflows suggest institutions see value at current prices. Nevertheless, experts caution that the market remains sensitive to macroeconomic conditions, such as U.S. interest rates and liquidity, which have a significant impact on digital asset prices. Many crypto analysts are looking ahead to the Federal Reserve's policy signals and the upcoming inflation report. Any indication of tighter financial conditions could introduce renewed volatility. On the upside, some analysts, like those at Bernstein, maintain a bullish long-term outlook, still forecasting Bitcoin could reach six-figure prices, e.g. $150,000, by the end of 2026 if the current consolidation resolves and macro conditions improve. Finance.yahoo.com, THTradable.com, INVZZ.com, INVZZ.com, INVZZ.com. Corporate earnings, Disney's big beat. Disney's earnings beat expectations. In Corporate Financial Analysis Daily, the Walt Disney Company delivered an impressive earnings beat that has bolstered market confidence in its turnaround plan. Reporting results for its fiscal first quarter of 2026, covering Q4 2025, Disney announced revenue of $25.98 billion, up 5% year-on-year, and adjusted earnings of $1.63 per share. These figures surpassed Wall Street's estimates of $25.74 billion in revenue and $1.57 EPS. The strong results were propelled by record performance in Disney's theme parks and experiences division, which for the first time ever generated over $10 billion in quarterly revenue. Domestic park revenues jumped 7% to $6.9 billion, reflecting higher attendance and spending, while international parks also grew despite some softness in overseas visitation. CNBC.com. Streaming and outlook. Disney's streaming business also showed promising signs on its path to profitability. Losses in the Disney Plus streaming unit narrowed significantly, and the company projected that its streaming segment would achieve around $500 million in operating income in the current quarter, a notable improvement over last year. This progress comes after strategic cost-cutting and price hikes in 2025 helped reduce streaming losses. CEO Bob Iger, who returned to lead Disney in 2022, expressed confidence that the company's hard work and strategic investments are paying off, setting Disney on the path to continued growth. He highlighted double-digit percentage growth in adjusted earnings expected for fiscal 2026 and plans to resume share buybacks, with a $7 billion repurchase authorization, as signs of financial strength. CNBC.com. Investor reaction and next steps. Despite the earnings beat, Disney's stock saw a mixed reaction. Shares initially popped in after hours trading on the strong results but later dipped around 7% the next day, as investors weighed longer-term questions. One overhang is Disney's leadership succession plan. The board has been meeting this week to select a new CEO to eventually take over for Iger, with a decision expected soon. The uncertainty around Iger's successor and the company's future strategy might have tempered some enthusiasm in the stock. Nonetheless, analysts largely viewed the quarter as a positive step. Disney's ability to boost profitability, by turbocharging parks and improving streaming margins, is seen as strengthening the hand of whoever becomes the next chief executive. The company's results underscore that its iconic brand and diversified entertainment portfolio continue to yield robust cash flows, even amid industry challenges. CNBC.com. Regulatory spotlight, Tesla's SEC investigation. SEC case pressures Tesla. High-flying electric automaker Tesla is contending with an ongoing regulatory cloud. The company's CEO, Elon Musk, remains under the shadow of a Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) investigation, a development that has drawn attention on Wall Street and in Washington. Tesla's SEC investigation. The scrutiny stems from Musk's past actions related to Twitter. Now X. The SEC has alleged that Musk failed to properly disclose his accumulation of a significant Twitter stock stake in early 2022 within the required timeframe. This month, a federal judge rejected Musk's attempt to dismiss the SEC's lawsuit, allowing the case to proceed and keeping the investigation in the headlines. The SEC contends that Musk's 11-day delay in reporting when he crossed a 5% ownership threshold in Twitter shares allowed him to purchase additional stock at lower prices, allegedly netting $150 million in gains once the news finally became public. MoneyLATimes.net. Context and impact. Musk has labeled the SEC's actions as an overreach, arguing that his delayed filing was inadvertent and that the agency is unfairly targeting him for his outspoken criticism of regulators. However, the case is set to continue, with the SEC seeking to force Musk to disgorge the $150 million in alleged gains and potentially pay additional penalties. While this particular legal battle revolves around Musk's personal conduct prior to acquiring Twitter, which he purchased for $44 billion in late 2022, it adds to the list of regulatory issues orbiting Tesla's CEO. Investors are closely monitoring these developments for any signs of distraction or impact on Tesla's leadership. So far, Tesla's core business remains strong. The stock recently touched new highs, buoyed by robust car delivery numbers and optimism around forthcoming product launches, but the SEC probe is a reminder of the risks that high-profile CEOs can sometimes pose to their company's stability. MoneyLATimes.net. Other regulatory news. In broader finance news, U.S. regulators and lawmakers continue to keep a close eye on corporate governance and market integrity. For instance, separate from the Musk case, there have been calls for greater scrutiny of corporate boards and insiders to ensure timely disclosure of significant holdings and to prevent market manipulation. Meanwhile, rising interest rates have also drawn attention to bank capital requirements and bond market liquidity, bond market moves. While these issues aren't directly impacting Tesla, they contribute to a climate of more assertive financial regulation in 2026. Investors appear to be factoring in a degree of regulatory risk across tech and finance sectors, which could be one factor in the recent market volatility 2026. Viral financial products, youth investing and gold coins resale boom. Beyond the stock and corporate news, a pair of personal finance trends have gone viral and are capturing public interest in early 2026, viral finance products. Fidelity's youth account and debit card. Fidelity Investments' new youth account, essentially a teen-focused brokerage account with a debit card, is gaining significant traction among young investors and their parents. This product, often dubbed the Fidelity Youth Card, allows teenagers aged 13 to 17 to invest in stocks and ETFs, with parental oversight, and even comes with a no-fee debit card for spending their account funds. The initiative, which first launched in 2022, has seen a surge in popularity through late 2025 and into 2026 as part of a broader push toward financial literacy for Generation Z. Social media buzz and positive reviews highlight how the Fidelity Youth Account empowers teens to learn investing by doing. In a controlled environment, parents can monitor activity and set limits. The account charges no fees or commissions, and teens can start investing with as little as $1, making it an accessible way for young people to enter the market. Fidelity has even rolled out educational content and thematic youth investment baskets tailored to Gen Z interests, like tech, gaming, and entertainment stocks, to engage these new investors. This trend reflects a growing demand for financial products that cater to digital native teenagers, and other brokers and fintech firms are now exploring similar offerings. Fidelity.com, 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 BusinessInsider.com, BusinessInsider.com. American Gold Eagle resale boom. A fascinating trend is unfolding in the precious metals market, a resale boom for American Gold Eagle coins. These popular U.S. mint-issued gold coins, often seen as a barometer of retail investor sentiment in gold, are changing hands at unprecedented volumes on secondary markets. Several factors are fueling this Gold Eagle resale frenzy. First, the price of gold itself has surged to historic highs in recent months, recently breaching the $5,000 per ounce milestone and even briefly trading above $5,300 before a bout of profit-taking. This gold rally, driven by expectations of future Federal Reserve rate cuts, geopolitical uncertainties, and strong demand from central banks, has dramatically increased the value of gold holdings. As a result, many retail investors are choosing to cash in by selling gold coins acquired in past years at much lower prices. Coin dealers report that American Gold Eagle buyback volumes are up sharply, with some offering notable premiums for certain editions of the coin due to tight supply. Additionally, 2026 marks the 40th anniversary of the Gold Eagle program, which is generating numismatic interest and boosting demand for both new and older coins. Collectors and investors are keen to capitalize on the high gold prices and the anniversary hype, creating a vibrant seller's market for these coins. Financial advisors caution, however, that gold prices can be volatile. Just in the past week, gold pulled back a few percent from its peak, reminding investors that even safe haven assets can experience swift price swings. 247wallstreet.com, invzz.com, 247wallstreet.com, 247wallstreet.com, cointribune.com. Video script, Financial and Stock Exchange News Daily, February 11, 2026. Hello and welcome to Financial and Stock Exchange News Daily, your Wall Street report on global markets and finance spoken by AI. I'm your AI host, and I'll be guiding you through today's top financial news stories. It's February 11, 2026, and here are the major headlines. Asterisk markets pull back as data surprises. U.S. stocks are down slightly after touching record highs earlier. The S&P 500 is pulling back as of today. The SP 500 today, it's essentially flat after a strong start fizzled out. The Dow Jones is off about 0.25%, and the Nasdaq is little changed. Why? A strong jobs report gave investors mixed feelings. Good news for the economy, but it could mean interest rates stay high longer. That uncertainty sparked some profit-taking and market volatility 2026 on Wall Street. Barcart.com. Treasury yield spike in focus. There's a lot of talk about bond market moves, as Treasury yields spiked on the jobs news. The 10-year Treasury yield jumped to around 4.2%, one of its highest levels in over a year. Higher yields have been putting pressure on stocks by raising borrowing costs and offering investors an attractive alternative to equities. With an inflation update due soon, traders are keeping a close eye on interest rates and any inflation revision that could sway Federal Reserve policy. Royce.ai. Asterisk record Bitcoin ETF inflows. Turning to crypto market news, we're seeing signs of life in the cryptocurrency market. Bitcoin ETFs just hit record inflows. Over $500 million flowed into U.S. Bitcoin exchange-traded funds in just a few days. This flood of money is a big reversal after weeks of heavy outflows, suggesting that institutional investors are buying the dip. Bitcoin's price is currently around $70,000, rebounding from recent lows. However, it's still below its peak from late last year, so analysts warn that volatility isn't over yet. Still, these Bitcoin ETF inflows are a positive sign that big investors have regained some confidence in crypto. Cointribune.com, invzz.com. Asterisk Disney's earnings beat expectations. In corporate news, Disney delivered a Magic Kingdom-worthy performance. The entertainment giant reported higher than expected earnings and revenue for last quarter. Profits were boosted by booming theme park business. Domestic parks pulled in a record $6.9 billion in revenue, and its streaming services moving closer to profitability. This Disney earnings beat shows that CEO Bob Iger's turnaround plan, focusing on theme parks and streaming, is bearing fruit. The stock market reaction was mixed, though, as investors are also watching for Disney's next CEO pick, with Iger set to step down in the future. Overall, this Financial Analysis Daily headline shows Disney's core businesses are strong even as it navigates leadership changes. CNBC.com. Asterisk Tesla under SEC investigation. Electric vehicle leader Tesla and CEO Elon Musk are back in the regulatory spotlight. Musk is fighting an SEC lawsuit alleging he violated securities laws by not promptly disclosing his big purchase of Twitter stock in 2022. A judge just refused Musk's request to throw out the case, so the Tesla SEC investigation continues. The SEC claims Musk's delay in reporting his Twitter stake let him unfairly profit by about $150 million. Musk calls the case government overreach, but it's not going away. While Tesla's car business has been performing well, its stock recently hit new highs. This legal cloud is a reminder that Musk's actions can create extra risk for the company. Traders will be watching how this saga unfolds, though so far Tesla's share price has largely shrugged it off amid strong sales figures. MoneyLATimes.net. Asterisk trending, teen investing in gold coin resales. Two trending financial stories are making waves on social media. First, the Fidelity Youth account, essentially a debit card and investing account for teens, is surging in popularity. Viral finance products. This finance spoken by AI segment highlights how big firms are courting Gen Z. The Fidelity Youth account lets kids 13 to 17 invest in stocks and ETFs with parental guidance, and it's being praised for promoting financial literacy among young investors. Second, there's a resale boom for American Gold Eagle coins. With gold prices above $5,000 per ounce near all-time highs, many investors are cashing in their gold coins for hefty profits, driving up demand in secondary markets. Coin dealers report that certain Gold Eagle coins are selling at record premiums. It's a reminder that tangible assets like gold can generate buzz when prices skyrocket, but also that even safe haven assets can swing in value. Gold pulled back a bit from its peak this week. Fidelity.com, 247wallstreet.com, invzz.com, cointribune.com. That's all for today's Financial and Stock Exchange News Daily Update. Thank you for listening to our Stock Exchange Daily Briefing. Disclaimer: this content is for informational purposes only and does not constitute financial or investment advice. Always do your own research or consult a professional before making financial decisions. Stay informed, stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Tags: Financial News,